Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Tonight on Our News, why government ministers say an extension to the country's emergency orders is necessary. Why the Labor Minister is optimistic despite more furloughs at a major resort. Plus, would you take the COVID-19 vaccine? We take the temperature of the nation. Welcome to Our News and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina Dragovich. Topping news tonight, Attorney General Carl Bethel today defending the extension of the current state of emergency, saying it has gotten the country this far in the fight against COVID-19. Once a mass rollout of the vaccine begins, officials believe it won't be long until restrictions are removed. Kyle Joaquin reports.
We have to understand that these disciplines have brought us this far. That and faith have brought us this far.
The Attorney General says with new variants of COVID-19 spreading around the world, the extension of the current state of emergency is out of an abundance of caution. He said while he may not be a doctor, the restrictions put in place to help curb the spread of the virus in the country appear to have been working.
We know that the discipline of the emergency orders has brought us this far and has kept our numbers relatively low. We have not had the kind of uncontrolled surges that you see going on in Europe right now and in parts of Africa.
Over the past few months, cases have been in the single digits, occasionally rising up to the teens. But with government seeking to extend the state of emergency to May 23rd, some observers have questioned whether that length is necessary and whether some restrictions would be eased. Bethel says it depends on how the vaccine rollout and the numbers look.
We only have a little more ways to go before we can begin the process of mass vaccination, hopefully. When that is done, then it will be possible, it will be reasonable, and it will be justifiable to further reduce and perhaps even eliminate the emergency orders. But let us get to that stage where Bahamians are protected.
Health Minister Remnant Wells, too, defending the extension, pointing to the U.S., saying the rest of the world is now following the Bahamas' lead.
All of our protocols are being adopted by the world. All of them, right down to our neighbors to the north. Look at what they're doing now. We were way ahead of the game with testing folks coming in the country and testing them while they're in the country. United States, Canada, and all have looked at what we have done, obviously, and they've adopted our protocols to be able to gain control of their particular situation.
As for whether restrictions could be eased soon, Wells said to tune in to the Prime Minister in Parliament on Wednesday.
Stay tuned.
For Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Well, government schools will not be opening on Monday as previously projected by the Ministry of Education. But the Education Minister says there are still plans to open before the end of the first quarter. Jillian Gray tells us more.
New Providence, Abaco, and Exuma will not open for face-to-face learning on Monday, according to the Education Minister, who said the ministry did not fully outline with health officials the procedures for that reopening.
We needed to have in place all of the processes, procedures, and protocols in the event of any eventuality. We wanted to be sure what happens if there's an infection, what happens with children when they are exiting school, when they're coming to school. That now is being resolved to their satisfaction, hopefully. And I expect that beginning sometime before this week is out, that we will be able to say to the Bahamian parents, schools will be opening on such and such a date.
Lloyd said health officials seem to have a clear understanding of how the virus spreads in schools and the community. Their findings will be the basis for their recommendations. Though that February 1st date is not feasible, Lloyd said they are confident that schools will reopen for a blended model next month.
I expect that schools will open sometime during February. There's absolutely. And like I said, we are in an advanced stage of discussion. We have had over the past week our preliminary understandings based on the numbers, based on the protocols, based on the responses from the Bahamian people being compliant.
Catholic schools on New Providence have been using a hybrid model since January 5th, and schools on Grand Bahama have been blended for several months. Lloyd said the experience of those who have been open will guide what the ministry does within the next few weeks.
They have been giving us points and pointers as to exactly what to expect and how to negotiate a variety of circumstances.
Now, the education minister said he's not reached out to the teachers union yet to get their take on going back to school, but they plan to do so as soon as they finish their discussions with health officials. Reporting for our news, I'm Jillian Gray.
And Labor Minister Dion Fowkes tonight expressing optimism over the future of job figures in the near future. Outside Cabinet, Fowkes explained that while 200 Atlantis employees are being furloughed due to low occupancy, the resort has informed him that 200 other employees are being brought back to work at the Cove.
The employment level at Atlantis remains the same. There's no change in terms of the employment level. Atlantis has informed me that at the Royal Towers, they have furloughed approximately 200 employees, but they have re-engaged approximately 200 employees at the Cove.
Fowkes says his optimism also stems from talks he's been having with other resorts such as Baha Mar and Sandals, which he says have indicated their plans to reopen, bringing back 1,000 employees.
We got notification from Sandals that their hotel in Exuma will be opening at the end of February, and that the hotel here in Nassau will be opening at the end of March. That is very good news for almost 1,000 employees of Sandals. We also got notification that Baha Mar will be opening their other two hotels, the Rosewood and the SLS, at the beginning of March.
Well, government is hoping that once it gets the COVID-19 vaccine, 20% of the population can be vaccinated. However, as Jared Higgs tells us, vaccine mistrust is still high.
Would you take the COVID vaccine?
No, I would not.
Okay.
Because I just feel like it's a rush thing.
This was the response of many Bahamians when questioned about whether they would take the COVID-19 vaccine once it is available in the Bahamas.
I think it needs more testing, more time. I mean, even with chickenpox and measles, it took time.
Government is hoping to secure a supply of vaccines by the end of the first quarter of 2021. There aren't plans to make the vaccine mandatory, so Bahamians will have to volunteer for the jab. However, some people will need extra convincing. Would you take the COVID-19 vaccine?
I don't know, I can't take it because I have sinus. I can't do it,
Because I don't know what they have in it, and I'm not sure it's safe for me or my children. And I've heard too many rumors, there's too many sites saying that there's actual tracking in it or sterilization drugs inside it, and I don't trust that.
But claims like this woman's own have been debunked, with experts saying COVID-19 syringes are tracked, not what is contained in the vaccine and injected into your body. In the United States, there is also widespread vaccine distrust, with a December Pew Research poll finding 40% of Americans would not or probably would not take the COVID-19 vaccine.
Folks just have to educate themselves. The ministry is going to educate them as well, put out the requisite information into the public sphere so that the Bahamian people can rest assured that they can trust their government.
But even some households are divided.
Vaccines have been proven to stop a lot of diseases in the past. So why this one can't? Vaccines are taken every day by the children, to help us prevent certain diseases. So,
to my knowledge, it takes vaccines years and years to come out. And so I don't know how come all of a sudden a vaccination came out that quickly and it's effective.
Of course, there are others who are ready to take a vaccine once it's available.
If the professionals say it's okay, then I would probably take their advice based on that.
Dr. Van Ria Roll is a pharmacist. She says she's hoping that her support of the vaccine will encourage others.
I would be first in line to take the vaccine.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
It's another beautiful evening in the capital. Here's Greg Thompson in the weather studio with a look at weather.
Thanks, Christina. I'm meteorologist Greg Thompson with your first look at weather. Beautiful conditions around the islands. Temperatures managed to get up into the 80s. Right now we're settling into the mid-70s once again this evening. 74 is our current temperature with just a few clouds, and most of those clouds are high-level clouds out there. The winds out of the south bringing in that warm temperature, feels like temperature in the mid-70s. Satellite view around the area, mostly sunny skies across the chain of islands, some patchy clouds moving across the area. But that high-pressure system is expected to move out towards the east, paving the way for a frontal boundary by Thursday. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Thanks, Greg. Still to come on our news, a closer look at new travel rules set by the U.S. Plus, one union says it was excluded from government's vaccine committee. That and more when our news returns.
Basketball is back, baby, and so is NBA League Pass, only with Rev Trio. Sign up for Rev Trio today and enjoy NBA League Pass absolutely free, along with incredible prizes including a brand new 50-inch smart TV, NBA gear, and more. With tons of prizes and gear, signing up for Trio is the best on and off-court move this year. Just call 601-8992 or visit www.rev.bs/promotions/trio. Sign up for Rev Trio today and enjoy NBA League Pass absolutely free.
Disappointing is how President of the Bahamas Hotel and Tourism Association, Robert Sands, is describing recent changes to travel policies for travelers headed to the United States. Jasmine Brown has more.
The Bahamas Hotel and Tourism Association President Robert Sandy Sands, who was a guest on Guardian Radio's Hit Back with Nahaja Black, said his first thought when he heard of the new travel policy was disappointment, but he also insisted this is not the first time the tourism industry has been put in a tough spot. Sands insisted the last thing anyone needs to do is panic.
Calm heads should prevail, that we should put together a plan and work our way through this crisis that currently exists.
Today, a Centers for Disease Control and Prevention order came into effect. It requires all air passengers arriving in the United States from a foreign country to get tested for COVID-19 more than 3 days before traveling. In addition to the testing requirement, an executive order signed by U.S. President Joe Biden last week has put in place the requirement that travelers comply with other applicable CDC guidelines concerning international travel, including recommended periods of self-quarantine or self-isolation after entry into the United States. Still, Sands insists it doesn't have to be a death sentence for the industry.
We've had multiple wars, we've had recessions, we've had issues of health scares, we've had the issue of the United States requiring its citizens to have passports to travel to the Bahamas. We've had hurricanes off and on that has disrupted tourism. And now we are faced with perhaps maybe the strongest threat to tourism, not only regionally, locally, but internationally, worldwide, and that's COVID-19.
Sands says in order to escape this crisis, there needs to be proper planning for reconstruction and recovery. He also cautioned that the number of confirmed COVID-19 cases needs to stay low.
The Bahamas is perhaps performing the best for this period, say post-Thanksgiving to now, in terms of number of COVID cases. And if we can continue to maintain that position, notwithstanding the new regulations and protocols that the CDC has put in place, we would be in a good position to climb out of this quicker than a lot of our competitors.
In terms of the current state of the tourism industry, Sands says on a scale of 1 to 100, he believes it's currently at a 10 when compared to the record-setting tourism numbers of 2019. Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
In other news, the Consultant Physician Staff Association president questioning why members of her union have not been invited to be a part of the newly formed Vaccine Consultative Committee. Here's Giorgio Bain.
CPSA President Dr. Sabrika Butler-Pinder stating that she is disappointed that members of her association were not invited to be a part of the Consultative Vaccine Committee. According to Butler, she hopes that the necessary professionals will eventually find themselves on the front line. The appointment of a 10-person vaccine committee raising some questions for the CPSA president, who says she has made herself available to be a part of a consultative committee for the rollout of the Bahamas' COVID-19 vaccination process. However, it appears that that won't happen.
So I'm hoping that the grouping that was put together, that if it does not reflect the key players, that the subcommittees that they seem to be putting in play will have the necessary professionals that are needed to provide advice.
According to Butler, it is disappointing that despite the association's best efforts to offer themselves to be a part of the conversation surrounding the proper handling of the COVID-19 pandemic, it seems those efforts continue to fall on deaf ears.
It was disappointing that we have still not had a full consultative role or been invited to be a part of the various committees, but we do appreciate that a committee has been formed, and we hope that those persons that will be a part of the committee will allow for open an active engagement of all persons, expertise in the fields.
Despite her disappointment, Butler says it didn't come as a surprise, as the lines of communication with the CPSA have been down for a while.
It is still our hope that the Ministry of Health will decide to realign itself with the consultants union as well as the other healthcare unions, because we are an integral part of the healthcare team.
Reporting for our News, I'm Giorgio Bain.
When our news comes back from the break, Cable Bahamas reconnects with terminated employees. Stay with us.
Basketball is back, baby, and so is NBA League Pass, only with Rev Trio. Sign up for Rev Trio today and enjoy NBA League Pass absolutely free, along with incredible prizes including a brand new 50-inch smart TV, NBA gear, and more. With tons of prizes and gear, signing up for Trio is the best on and off-court move this year. Just call 601-8992 or visit www.rev.bs/promotions/trio. Sign up for Rev Trio today and enjoy NBA League Pass absolutely free.
This is our news. Welcome back. Following months of challenges due to the pandemic, Cable Bahamas CEO Franklin Butler says the company has rehired more than 1/3 of the employees made redundant back in July. And while the company took a hit due to COVID-19, Butler says they still managed to meet revised projections. Berthany McDermott reports.
6 months after making nearly 12% of its employees redundant, Cable Bahamas Group CEO Franklin Butler says the company has rehired some of those employees.
More than a third of those persons who were let go have been brought back. And particularly we had those in our customer-facing areas. As we had more customer complaints, it was important to bring back anybody who was involved in sales or customer support to make sure that we can meet the demands of, quite frankly, very demanding consumer that, we have an obligation to meet.
Amid the hardship brought on by COVID-19, many companies were forced to make difficult decisions, and Cable Bahamas was not exempt. Back in April, the company was forced to let go nearly 80 Rev employees and 20 Alive employees. 3 months later, the company announced that 60 employees at Rev and 27 at Alive were terminated. According to Butler, that decision wasn't an easy one.
Any opportunity to right-size in the face of the uncertainty that we've gone through as a country was one that was really, quite frankly, a tough decision to make. But it does appease, a certain base of our stakeholders, our shareholders at the end of the day, and as good stewards of the business, we have to make those tough decisions from time to time. Never easy. One that certainly, my heart went out to all of those who were impacted.
On the flip side, Butler said the company made strides to ensure those workers were paid gratuity and had access to pent-up savings. But it wasn't all bad. Despite the turmoil from COVID-19, Butler said CBL still managed to meet its revised goals.
All things considered, a very challenging year. We were able to meet what were revised projections, so I think it's important to establish that. When you lose the entire hospitality segment in a country due to the pandemic, it's impossible to, what I would say, meet your original projections if we thought about where we were January 1, 2020. But we're very pleased at where we are from a business and operational perspective.
As for what 2021 holds, Butler says they're optimistic.
We are tenuous at best for 2021, but hopeful that 2021, as we progress through the year, will increasingly become better.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
National Security Minister Marvin Dames debunking a claim by opposition leader Philip Davis that new voters aren't being given the opportunity to register to vote because centers are closed. Dames says centers are open.
We should be rolling out an extended registration process very shortly. We will have more than enough time to register approximately 20,000 people, and the process is ongoing. So as far as those comments, no one has ever approached me about it.
Because there is now a permanent voter register, Dames says there's no need for everyone to register again. And there's a new team at the Parliamentary Registration Department. Dames says so far he has gotten no complaints. Coming up, a new sport added to the school curriculum. Stay with us.
Basketball is back, baby, and so is NBA League Pass, only with Rev Trio. Sign up for Rev Trio today and enjoy NBA League Pass absolutely free, along with incredible prizes including a brand new 50-inch smart TV, NBA gear, and more. With tons of prizes and gear, signing up for Trio is the best on and off-court move this year. Just call 601-8992 or visit www.rev.bs/promotions/trio. Sign up for Rev Trio today and enjoy NBA League Pass absolutely free.
Welcome back to our news. Maybe some cloudy conditions moving in over the next few days. Greg has the details over in the Weather Center.
Thanks again, Christina. In our second look at weather, we take a look at our satellite view around the area. Ridge of high pressure extending out of the Atlantic across a chain of islands, generating stable, mostly sunny conditions, but a bit breezy across the southeast Bahamas. Over the next couple of days, we expect that high pressure system to pull out towards the east. That's paving the way for a frontal boundary across the southeast United States. That one should get here on Thursday, and that will cool us down for the weekend. Your boating forecast for the northwest and central Bahamas tonight through tomorrow. Your winds will be out of the southeast to south, 10 to 15 knots. Seas running 2 to 4 feet over the ocean. While in the southeast Bahamas, a caution flag still posted for you guys down there. East to southeasterly winds 15 to 20 knots. Seas running 4 to 6 feet over the ocean. Low tide will be at 12:13 tomorrow morning. Here's a look now at your national forecast. We look now to extended forecast through Sunday. That's a look at our weather. Make it a great night, everybody. Christina?
Thanks, Greg. Tonight in sports, a new sport teeing up on the school calendar. Marcellus Hall has that.
Hi, welcome to our sports on a Tuesday, everybody. I'm Marcellus Hall. Looks as if the schools will go back to face-to-face activities real soon. Sports will definitely be right around the corner. One sport looking to break into the school ranks is golf. For more on that, let's take a look. A new sport set to make its way onto the school sporting calendar in the near future as plans announced for the first ever school golf tournament this March. Tournament director Georgette Roll Harris says this a dream come true.
It's always been a goal of mine, just in my experience too after college golf, with being involved in a lot of inter-school golf programs back in Houston, and so there was no reason to not have it here at home. And so over the last number of years, working in conjunction with the Bahamas Golf Federation, we've always been kind of slowly but surely kind of chiseling away at this. And now it's come to a reality.
Bahamas Golf Federation Executive Gina Gonzalez-Roll adding the tournament a match made in heaven.
Golf is the ideal sport for social distancing and anything to do with COVID-19. So this is perfect, and right now we realize that the schools are looking for sports, and what better than a good sport that you can be safe with.
Roll Harris talked about how the tournament will be set up to have the kids both have fun and be competitive.
We teach at 14 clubs and by extension the BGF, our swing combo system, and then a play format that's allowed us to get kids on course faster, right? Like that's, I think, been one of the biggest hurdles that we've crossed. Just figuring out how to get them on course faster, which allows them to feel like and know that golf is more fun. And so for the tournament, the kids are going to be, the junior golfers are going to be playing from short yardages. And so we think that we can, have a good, successful first year of this event and then be ready for 2022.
And that's your check on sports for you here on this Tuesday. I'm Marcellus Hall. Back to you.
Thanks, Marcellus, and thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Christina Dragovich. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas.